There we go. It is cold down here. Do I have icicles hanging from my nose? Oh, here we go. Scuba. Scuba Obsessed, the weekly podcast. We talk about all things scuba diving, from cool new gear, places to dive, and scuba news. Scuba Obsessed episode 527 is recorded live March 3rd, 2022. Welcome back to Scuba Obsessed. I'm Darren Jolson, coming to you from the southwest side of the great state of Michigan, where most of our snow's gone. Joining me this week, we have Mac, the dive mentor. How you doing today, Mac?
I'm doing very well. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, how's this for a little bit of weather? Had a little warm streak here.
Yeah, 40 degrees. I'll take that.
Yeah.
No snow.
Yeah, I was talking to my office down in Missouri, and they were expecting to have 80 today. I don't know what they ended up with, but
Whoa.
yeah, they're like, well, how warm is it going to get up there? You're probably in the 60s or 70s. I'm like, no, well, we're not going to get out of 40s. And then how warm did it get it? Did we get like 42, 43 maybe?
I'm not sure. I know the wind was up the other day, so it didn't feel that warm.
Yeah, and for people listening from other countries, that is in Fahrenheit. If that was in Celsius, we'd be quite toasty.
Yeah.
Maybe even a tad bit in the warm side. I'd like to thank everybody's in the chat room. We have Eric, Dave, and Karen joining us this week. I apologize for last week. Robotic season is kicking my butt. And on top of that, I got to robotics and had the laptop running for about an hour. And then I'm like, I better plug in, and I didn't have my charger. So that kind of sealed the deal. There was no way I was going to be able to record other than driving to my office, which did not sound appealing late at night on a Thursday. And then just as a heads up, next Thursday will be an event. We'll be competing at the St. Joe, Michigan first robotics event. So won't be doing it next Thursday. So
making a note as
we'll get that, but maybe, yeah, but maybe I'll be able to figure out how to get some of these episodes edited. I've got plans. I've got solid plans on how that's going to happen. I'm not there.
I hear Winters at the casino.
Winters at the casino. Well, yeah. I'm sure.
Got a plan.
I'm aware of those winners. I might be married to one. And should I say winners and I did put quick quote marks, winners? One thing I've noticed about gamblers is they only talk about the winning. So it's like if you're a company and you only talk about the incoming money and not the outgoing money, you look really rich. So let's go ahead and jump right on into the news. First article that we have up is divers have 6 minutes to retrieve bodies from lake. And this was on February 8th. Divers are preparing to recover 4 bodies from, wow, I don't even know what that first letter is. I'm going to say Ping Villa Vatten, but I'm sure that is not anywhere close. Southwest Iceland. After their plane crashed in the lake last Thursday, each diver may make 1 attempt per day. Will only have 20 minutes underwater to recover the bodies, which lie at a depth of 37 meters, 121 feet and deeper. While recovering the bodies is a priority, authorities state that recovering the aircraft in the bottom lake is also crucial to the investigation of the crash. Let's talk about that. The divers only have 20 minutes underwater, and they can only make 1 attempt per day. That seems Because, well, when that's in recreational limits, and why would that be the requirement? Is that their occupational safety guidelines?
I don't know. I thought I had read something in there that there were tidal constraints or something.
Okay. I mean, it's not, is it high altitude maybe? One attempt depth of 37 meters, 120 feet. So at sea level or a little bit above, that wouldn't be long, but you could make, I mean, I've done 3 dives to that depth in a day.
I don't have that in front of me, so I can't I don't recall it. I just looked it up right at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what they're saying. So, I mean, we'll go with that. So for whatever reason, they're only allowed to do in 20 minutes. Sounds about right. And that may even be long. I mean, that would be doubles with oxygen. Maybe the deco, at 20 minutes. If you look at the dive tables, when you get down below 120 feet, you don't have a lot of time. And that's what we do for Ann Arbor 5, which is 160. Ironsides is about that depth, 121. The barge and crane, about 125 to the bottom. So you don't have a lot of time down there. The Cessna 172N plane went missing last Thursday after setting off a 2-hour sightseeing trip. The pilot, Icelander Diego, we'll call him, was accompanied by 3 passengers from the U.S., Netherlands, and Belgium who have been named John Newman, 22, Tim Allings, 27, and Nicole Bolivia, 32. Around 1,000 took part in a search and rescue mission, eventually locating the plane and bodies in the lake. The recovery mission could begin tomorrow. Search and rescue crews have prioritized recovering the bodies from the lake, but the efforts have been delayed by unfavorable weather conditions. Precautions for the missions are going well. It could be tomorrow if conditions allow. Ensuring the diver safety is key. Each one may not be in the water longer than 20 minutes, may only take 1 dive per day. Due to this time constraint, the divers only have 6 minutes to do their work once they reach the bodies, preparing by practicing each movement thoroughly. Aircraft recovery key to investigation. The plane is located at a depth of 50 meters, 164 feet, and appears to be in good shape. The investigation committee would like to find out the amount of fuel in the plane, but the longer it remains underwater, the more likely that such evidence will be compromised. So far, investigators have been relying on photographs of the plane taken by unmanned submarines. There is no so-called black box in the plane, the device that records data on aircraft, such as flight speed, elevation, and sound. Such boxes are not standard equipment on a Cessna 172N model. That's a little bit newer than your plane, isn't it, Mac?
Yeah, it is. That's a 172. That the N is just the November number to it. It's a 4-passenger. That airplane itself was at 164 feet.
Oh, and that's the bodies that are at a different depth than the plane. So that tells me, I mean, they said they had an ROV. So have the bodies been ejected, or maybe the bodies were, maybe they were trying to get out of the plane and then it sank into the water? I don't think they give us any details.
No, I was trying to relocate that to find out why the time limit.
Yeah.
Because the only thing I thought I had read before was something about current conditions.
Yeah. Yeah, and the divers only have 6 minutes to do their work, which makes sense. So it's 20 minutes from the time they enter the water to they get down there. And that looks like standard air tables. So I'm guessing they may not be breathing trimix or anything, that they're just air. Which might not be that uncommon for rescue divers or recovery divers. Like in Michigan, the state police would have some more technical divers. I know that some of the divers in the club have been called on for deeper recovery dives. And then there's a follow-up article, icelandmonitor.mbl.is, which this is from the 11th, and it says all 4 bodies recovered from the lake. The bodies of all 4 victims last week's plane crash into the lake were recovered yesterday. In the morning, it looked like the operation would be postponed until today due to the ice in the lake, but in the afternoon, the ice sheet began breaking, making it possible to send divers in. Lightweight boats were launched to clear the way, and they sailed back and forth to keep part of the lake ice free. About 60 people took part in the operation, including about 20 divers. Wow, that is quite a crew. After a consultative meeting with rescue workers where conditions were assessed, it turned out that the conditions of the lake were extremely dangerous due to severe cold and forming of ice on the lake. The possibility of using other methods than planned was explored. The decision was subsequently made to use an autonomous underwater vehicle to retrieve the bodies. Rescue workers then launched the AUV equipped with a camera and robotic arm. The AUV was remotely controlled from the barge in the lake. Divers placed the bodies on board boats which transported them to shore. At 8 p.m. last night, police announced their Facebook page that all 4 bodies have been recovered. Investigation of the cause of the accident is ongoing, conducted by the South Iceland Police Department Transportation Accident Investigation Committee. Parts of the plane may be set for further investigation. For now, no additional information will be provided regarding the matter. The plan is to recover the plane today. Is located at a depth of 45 meters, 150 feet, 800 meters or 875 yards from the shore. And then later on, an update, they said they postponed the recovery of the plane by a few weeks. The ice keeps getting thicker and the operation must be postponed until the weather gets warmer. So they use the AUV to recover the bodies, which, I mean, if you can do that and not risk people, it's probably not a bad idea.
Looking at the water, the open areas, it was broken ice.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like the weather was really not conducive to doing a lot of time.
No.
And if the ice flows shifted, you could be really screwed up.
Yeah. And it looked like it was getting worse, that the ice was building.
Yeah.
And this was in February. So this is about just a little less than a month ago.
Yeah.
And then on our trend of not the happiest of stories, this one's a moment a diver is brought back from the brink of death. Incredible body cam vision shows moments police revive diver who is found unconscious. And I didn't see this, Mac. This little 2-minute video, so we'll throw it on here. The website is theage.com.au. If this will play.
It's basically using the resuscitation techniques, and the guy, he brought him back. He hadn't have done it, the guy would have expired.
Mm-hmm. So this is a video from a body cam of a rescue worker.
Yeah.
And this is a diver. So he's not in a wetsuit. So maybe surface diving? Is that what they're doing?
I don't know. I have to go back and check.
So they're talking to the guy afterwards. Wow. Yeah. So they're just describing what's going on.
He was on a boat,
Uh-huh.
basically. I started feeling nauseous, lost his hearing, sight, blacked out on the back of his boat. The experienced 36-year-old diver had been hunting for crayfish off the coast, had descended to a depth of 42 meters, and was suffering from some kind of condition, is what they had. And if the guy had not been there, he'd have been dead.
Yeah. Yeah, so great job on the rescue workers. We'll have links and show notes so that you can watch this yourself with the audio. We don't have the audio being fed through here, but yeah, glad he's okay.
There's another article on the whole thing that has lots of different pictures, including the boat and his commenting. Young guy, too.
Yeah, he
looks in darn good shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just, I mean, medical conditions or situation or something going on.
Well, he also spent 2 weeks on 2 weeks of decompression chamber time over the period of time.
I'm getting distracted by the chat room. They having a good talk down there, which we'll get to some of their topics a little bit later on. So this next one up is Go Diving Show. So godivingshow.com. Let's see. It's in the UK. In a EC Stonelick, Coventry, UK, March 4th through the 6th, 2022. Noon to 5 p.m. Trade only. Oh, so they're doing kind of like a DEMA. That's on Friday, yeah. And then Saturday and Sunday looks to be open to the public, which is 9:30 to 5. It's kind of interesting, trade only. I attend shows where they don't say trade only, but you wouldn't really want to go if you're not in the trade. So.
I'm always interested in how many people show up and what do they have.
Yeah.
And this one here, they had over 100 exhibitors, and they, just like Our World Underwater used to be, they were featuring liveaboards, resorts, as well as the diving equipment manufacturing, sales, and technologies.
Yeah. So how big is this show? Do they say?
Well, 19,000 free parking spaces.
Well, that's how many they can have, not how many they will. But we're going to guess this is...
You don't reserve a place for that many parking spaces if you don't expect a crowd.
Yeah, but before the show we were talking, and it just seems like Europe is doing a lot more diving than we are here in the U.S.
Right. That's what, as I started looking at these programs that are going on, the one in the UK, the one in Russia, one in Portugal, it's like, damn, we're way behind the curve, and their attendance seemed to be outstanding, COVID or not.
Yeah. Well, and I've kind of been thinking that going to let us buy tickets. Must be on the naughty list. Or it's going, you're not in the UK, we can't show it to you. Hey, here we go. So that's Friday, that's tomorrow. Well, probably by the time you see us, it's already over with. But 15 pounds, that's not... I mean, that's probably about, when we were doing Our World Underwater, what was that, about 25 at the door?
I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah, so that's, and in pounds to dollars, I would say 15 pounds. And we're, looking at online prices.
$20.
And that's for, trade is even cheaper, which usually we do in the U.S., we do it the other way. If you're into trade, you pay more. They figure you're loaded. Small business people just have tons of money. And then they get some group pricing, which is nice.
I like to listen to the way they speak sometime. They're talking, and a great selection of real diver grub food vans. And I'm trying to, exactly what does that mean? Is that inside or outside when you say food vans?
Is that like grubs and crickets, or they?
I don't know.
I think they're talking about something else. But look at this discount, large group, 5 pounds a piece. Yeah. Children under 14 free. Yeah, I think the prices are real reasonable. They're doing it to promote the show. So, get people in, get to the activity. Hopefully, with the pandemic getting over with. Now, since we're on the topic. How did the dive show go last week?
Kevin did real nice presentations. There's some good pictures of Amy, club president, with the colors on her jacket. So we did have some nice presents. I know we had the two of our newer members were also there. Mary Beth and I were going to go, and we had last minute change of plans on Saturday. So I did not go, but I did check the postings, and everybody seemed to have a real good time, and the programs were well received and had good attendance, which meant there'll be another one next year.
Excellent. Yeah.
Also, the one in the UK, by the way,
Mhm.
they had it's like the PADI course where you can go try diving.
Okay.
The beginner one, they also had that available for you.
Yeah.
Take a dive, try.
Yeah. In the chat room, Dave said Ford Seahorse Festival was excellent last Saturday.
Yep.
And then Karen said she saw Dave at the festival, but you were busy. Uh, yeah, so good. Glad to see that was well attended. You know, we need to get those things growing, get people going to it. I don't know when I'm going to be able to get over there again. The weekends just don't line up for me every year. For the last several years, it's run opposite of a robotics event. Oh, let's get into something that's a little bit more exciting that we like to talk about. Shipwreck discovered in Lake Superior 131 years later. The ship that sank in 1891 has been discovered in Lake Superior off Michigan's Upper Peninsula. GLSHS, Great Lakes Shipwreck Historical Society. The ship was carrying a load of coal when it sank in a storm in 1891. The Atlanta is well preserved and extremely cold lake. The society reported, and that was today. It says Thursday. I mean, this is breaking news. I had a few people send it to me. Dave in the chat room was one of them. The shipwreck group posted photos and videos in the name of the ship clearly visible at the depth of more than 600 feet, roughly 35 miles off Deer Park, Michigan. It's truly ornate and still beautiful after 130 years on the bottom of Lake Superior. I'm going to mute that and we'll let that play there in the background. The ship, which had its sails down, was being towed by another vessel when the line snapped during a storm. According to group, crew members got the lifeboat, though only 2 survived and the boat overturned. Had you heard about this one, Mac?
No, I had not.
Yeah, so they've got, we'll have links in the show notes, which you can click to the YouTube video, give them some click love on that. Well, there's a nice stock on an anchor. What are we seeing here? It's amazing after all that time how much is still exposed. There's not a lot of sediment building up on the wreck.
Well, there's also no zebra and crag mussels there in
Yes, a
Superior.
good point. I mean, clear boards. That looks like that broke a little bit, like it came down. So that was probably a hatch. Do you think?
More than likely, yeah.
They're going over the hold. There's some bowls. Just the excitement they must be feeling as they're doing this, being the first people in that amount of time. Is that a sink or a toilet? It's hard to. Yeah, kind of a bowl type item. White ceramic, some. Interesting. I've not quite seen these type of items on a deck before. Huh. I ain't sure what that is. Would that have been a windlass maybe? Or holes in the side of
I
it?
was looking at it, couldn't make it out.
Yeah, it was like a round sphere. There's the ship's wheel laying in the sediment. That's half full. we're watching this. Karen said that she sold out of her scuba pens that she had made up. And then Deer Park is where the Muskellunge Lake State Park is. Kind of getting away there. Oh, there they're showing the board name, but congratulations for the group. A great find. Like to see some more images on that one.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. And then this last one, tankless diving system. This is Dive Blue 3. It seems like we've talked about this one before.
Well, there's a couple of different items like this. And we've been talking, a lot of people who talk about this almost like a spare air that they're having for people who want to snorkel or dive without scuba qualifications. And this is another one of those that a lot of people don't believe it's as safe as it's made out to be, because in a couple of these, they do have videos that talk about don't hold your breath, don't dive so far down. But by the same token, we have enough problems with people who do go through the training who have issues with, if you had a fault on your regulator, what do you do?
Yeah.
I would be very curious to see what the safety record for this tankless diving system, and those who use spare air as they're snorkeling, what it is really.
Yeah. Battery powered surface supplied air. And we're used to gas powered type systems, but batteries are getting to be very effective, and we're seeing them more and more in like lawn care equipment.
Well, Jake has a system like better than this, but has a same kind of system, which is battery operated.
Oh, his is battery operated?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Now I got him there trying to teach him how to use it correctly. But his use is less than 10 feet metal detecting around piers and docks. The chances of him getting in trouble would be less than if you get out to 30 feet and do it.
Yeah. Well,
and some of these units are built for 15 feet. A couple of them are 30 feet. But you take a look at Brownie Lung. Remember that? That's what we had years ago.
Yeah.
And I never heard of anybody getting hurt with a Brownie Lung.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, part of it is just knowing not to hold your breath. The same thing that kills a diver can kill somebody on these hooker rigs. Panic. If you get down and all of a sudden you feel like you can't breathe, you may hold your breath and then come to the surface and then end up having all sorts of problems because you didn't exhale.
Yeah. Oh, this is called the Nomad, the one of them. You can go down to, there's a 15-minute training video that comes with it. And the length of the line is 40 feet, so you could logically go down to 30 feet max depth of 30 feet according to the brochure. Now, 30 feet, if you're trained, you should be able to do a free ascent if you had a regulator malfunction.
Right.
And if you've been practicing diving for a while, if you were a brand new newbie out there and you had that happen, what are the chances of them holding their breath coming up?
Oh, well, almost a guaranteed. If you haven't had training and practice.
Yeah. I'd like to see what the stats are on injuries for this, but you just don't find them.
Well, yeah. That'd be a question for Dan. Would Dan be able to collect this type of data? Do they have any of this data?
If people send it in, how many people send in near misses because they have the form you can fill out, even if there's no injuries, lesson learned.
Right.
And that's what we use a lot on our safety reports, is from Dan.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how they do this.
Yeah, because the only other source would be is if hospitals report it. You know, your what do they call that? ID 10. I should know. We print the book, but there's a guide for coding that, which is supposed to go to all the statistics. Karen may say what it is. So yeah, there's definitely a use. I mean, diving in the river or around docks, or you're a boat owner and you want to be able to get underwater and unfoul your prop. These are great tools. And when used with proper training, they're good.
Just like me, I have a hookah set. I hook up to a scuba tank. I used to leave in my kayak. I could go down and do some work.
Yeah.
I was over at the piers last summer going through talking to some of the boat owners, the bigger boat owners, and especially when I saw dive gear and the aft end, I'd ask about it. It's like, well, we go down and we have to work on a prop. We check the anchor line, generally in shallow water, but still, they're not certified divers.
Yeah, Karen was saying it's ICD 10. That's the guidelines for coding medical. Okay, well, that does it for Scuba in the News for this week. Thank you very much for tuning us on to those. And we talked about the dive show, so I'm glad to see that we had some club members who were able to go over and make it to the dive show. Are there any other dive shows coming up here? Or?
Oh, you got the one in Moscow. I'd love to go to that one.
Could you imagine what that would be like this year?
Yeah. Now I don't know what it's going to be like, but they expect, I'm looking at the stats, 20,000 minimum visitors, 30,000 key professionals presenting. They represent 25 different water sports. And some of those I went through and it's like, I have no idea what that is. Plus, you have 17 opportunities for different water sport test drives. They have underwater sports competition. They're representing 20 countries and over 100 speakers. It looked like it would be quite interesting. I mean, I do not know what a slap boarding is. Do you?
Slap boarding? No.
It's called free test drives of water sports, diving, windsurfing, surfing, balance boards, kiting, and slap boarding.
No.
No idea what that is.
No, I wonder if that's like a boogie board or one of those they would do in the title, kind of like mud flats, where they would go and run and scoot along the water. But I
know the wakeboards. I've seen a lot of activity for those. They had two they were doing there: electrofoil and the aqua skipper. They're also letting you test drive the first world's diving VR, which looked quite interesting. I don't know what wake escape is, electric surf, and electrofoil. It would have been fun just to go look at all the equipment and all the tools they're talking about.
Yeah.
And they have a children's entertainment zone to get them out of your hair while you're going doing your thing.
Well, that's always good. So many screens. So while you're doing that, we'll take a look at chat.
All right. Well, we always talk about Dan, and that's where I get a lot of stats from. And one of their big items for this, starting out with 2022, is continuing education can make you a safer diver. And I think we all realize that. There are a lot of great reasons to continue diving education beyond your open water course. Advanced training lets you explore new environments gives you the opportunity to learn from new instructors, allows you to master new equipment, and importantly, continuing your education is a great way to become a safer diver. Now, inexperience is a common factor in diving accidents, as it is in accidents on the road and rock climbing and other activities. Now, of course, simple diving is a way to gain experience, but training offers learning opportunities that just going diving does not. While diving lets you learn from your mistakes, continuing education gives you more opportunities to learn from others, and that means others' mistakes. It's not only less painful, but more efficient. An actual benefit of advanced training is the time you spend with experienced professionals and educated or education-minded peers. Being in the company of people who are actively engaging in learning is self-educational. When teaching, instructors make a point of modeling safe dive practices and executing demonstration/quality skills. In addition, an important part of learning is processing the experience, and continuing education courses especially are great for this. Now, post-dive briefs, they help solidify good practices, correct suboptimal ones. Finally, don't overlook the value corrections can make with other divers in your area. Lifelong learners are great dive buddies. They really make great dive buddies. Besides amplifying good practices, continuing education can also interrupt problematic ones, such as normalization of deviance. And we've talked about this before, but normalization of a deviance is a phenomenon in which a diver practices unsafe behaviors or their safety practices degrade over time, but they manage to avoid consequences by sheer luck. Over time, this can lead to unsafe practices becoming established. They can spread among their dive buddies and even dive clubs or communities. So make a commitment to work with a dive pro. Learn new skills can be a great way to put a stop to unsafe practices that can crop up over time. And finally, continuing education empowers divers. The more you learn to manage underwater, the more you'll be able to manage underwater. You have a wealth of skills and abilities to lean on to be well prepared for whatever eventualities arise. So don't miss out on the opportunity to pick up new tricks and enhance your experience of the underworld.
Very nice. Well, let's see. I'm almost afraid to ask. Has anybody gotten any diving in?
Not I, said the duck. I have not.
No.
The river, went back and checked it out, is very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Up by the banks, not a good time to go diving.
Yeah, last week I was driving there, and a lot of the creeks were over their banks. It was not quite excessive flooding, but it was on its way. So it was probably not great conditions in many spots to get any diving in. How's the ice on the Big Lake? I imagine that there shouldn't be much at all.
There was an article the other day, and I think we're going to put it in the newsletter, about looking at the lake under the ice, especially up north. I don't think we had more than 50% ice cover in all of the Great Lakes, and down at our end, we didn't have a lot at all. We had some shoreline. I don't think we had more than a quarter mile ice out at almost any time during the year. So we're going to have a lot of shoreline erosion. But right now, we still have a nice buffer, probably 100 feet, 150 feet at Lions Park, up on Silver Beach. So it'll be interesting to see if we have any big storms after the ice goes.
Very good. Okay. I feel like I'm running out of stuff. Is that possible?
That's possible. We don't want to talk about SEAL team fatalities.
SEAL? Was there a SEAL team fatality?
Oh yeah, I sent you that too, didn't I?
Did you? Let me take a look.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, there've been a couple over the last couple of weeks.
wow. I had seen for training. Were you talking about that one where there was the one guy had died during training and another was seriously injured?
Yep. And then they did a history over the last 6 months. And it's like they say, it's expected.
Mm-hmm.
They do, it's basically 20 hours with 4 hours sleep
Mm-hmm.
per week, hell week.
Yeah.
You got to be in damn good shape.
I've watched some shows on the Hell Week, and yeah, that's way beyond anything that I would have done.
It's not done, could.
Well, I pretend I could. That's
No.
certainly
In my
not.
best condition, I could only watch.
You can. That's a good line.
I mean, I can't pick up those damn telephone poles.
Yeah, I'm going through. We had some articles talking about tank cleanup. Well, that's the week before. That was the Ice Hole Festival, wasn't it? FEMA. Well, okay, let me see. I really don't have any. Did you have anything you wanted to plug before we got on out of here?
Actually, I don't. Not at this time. The March looks like a pretty narrow, you know, narrow field of view to do anything. April, though, I would like to start getting back into the water in April. I just got to find me some heavy duty tinder that's going to help me out here. My wife would prefer as I get older, I have something out there that can help in my Gunga Den.
Yeah. Yep. Well, if we don't have anything else, I think we're at that time of the show. Are you ready?
All right. Well, yeah, I'm sitting down. I'm good.
Okay. Let's check the chat room one more time before we get on out of here. Make sure they're not yelling at us for anything, but they aren't. So here we go. The guy is dining alone in a fancy restaurant, and there's a beautiful redhead sitting the next table. He's been sneakily checking her out ever since he arrived. He didn't have the courage to start talking to her. Suddenly she sneezes and her glass eye comes flying out of its socket towards the man. His reflexes kick in and he reaches out and plucks it from the air and he hands it back to her. The redhead is mortified. "Oh my, I'm so sorry," she says as she pops the eye back into place. "Let me buy you dinner and make it up to you." So he joins the table and they enjoy a wonderful meal together. Afterwards, they go to the theater, followed by drinks at the bar. They talk, they laugh, they share their deepest dreams, and he shares his. She listens. After paying for everything, she asks him if he would like to come to her place for nightcap. He says yes, and they return to her place. He ends up staying the night. The next morning, she cooks a gourmet meal with all the trimmings. The guy's amazed how everything has been so perfect and how incredible this woman is. He can't believe his luck. "You know, you are the perfect woman. And you are nice. Are you this nice to every guy you meet?" "No," she replies. "You just happen to catch my eye."
I think I'd seen that. That's a good one, though. That's a good one.
I'm sorry. It's
almost.
Yeah. So, on that note, go out there and get wet.
And still stay safe.
Yeah. Yeah, that one won't be too bad. So I'll have to get that one up and together. Yeah. Oh.